This episode of the Boisterous Brothers is brought to you by Cheesewares, the superheated plastic treat you can trust. Welcome to the Boisterous Brothers. I'm George Rockall-Schmidt and I'm here with Damian Benedict. How are you doing today, fella?
Very well, thank you, Chief.
Very good. Yes, we were just talking about how awful Damian's lexicon is because he's always saying proper job and hello, Chief, and R, matey. What else do you say?
Boss.
Yes,
Man.
boss. You always say boss man. That's right. And other stuff.
And massa.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so we always start with an anecdote. Today it's Damian's turn, so you might want to skip ahead. Take it away, Damian.
There's one road I have to walk down, but for whatever reason they've been building a hotel there, and for whatever reason they've just completely ripped up all the pedestrian walkways.
Uh-huh.
But so the traffic's crawling along, and I don't notice there's this police van. I only really see buses, but it starts moving along again, and then as I'm walking along, not really giving a shit, I just hear boop, 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 boop. And I assume it's got nothing to do with me because, well, it's never.
Why would it?
Yeah. But I keep going along and then I hear it again. Boop, 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 boop. And it's getting on my tits at this point, so I look around and this police van has slowly worked its way up behind me.
Yeah.
And I see these two middle-aged fucks, PCs, just there like pointing for me to go across the road.
They look very angry.
Oh, gotcha, yeah. They were really like, fucking do it.
And you did this. No.
I did kind of.
My head.
I didn't really glare, but I was like, look kind of skeptical. But
instant thing you should have done. Every lawyer would recommend this. You should have immediately pissed yourself.
Yeah,
they would not touch you if you pissed yourself.
Really?
Yeah,
is that
right.
true?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
That one's in the fucking bag.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. So because it's for my safety, I shouldn't be in the road. So yeah, they're ushering me along, and I'm like, okay, fine.
Uh-huh.
So what they've ushered me along. The guy's got his head out. But what they haven't done is made a point of stopping the traffic that's coming up behind them. So they're like, fucking move on. Yeah. And I do that. All right, fine. And I'm almost fucking mowed down.
Right. I thought you were going to say he got his head chopped off by a bus that went by or something like that.
No.
Is that it? Is that your gripe with the police?
Oh no. It's so I do that, and obviously this driver's like, and he's pissed off, rightfully fucking so. I was nearly over the hood of his fucking car.
I don't think the policemen cross the road immediately, no matter what.
Oh, they were looking really fucking shitty, like fucking. They're giving it all that, so fine. But at this point, there's a crossing coming up where the construction kind of ends, so you can walk back on that side of the road. So I cross over, and within like 10 yards, I'm at the crossing again. And now the red lights have come up, so they're at the traffic lights, and I immediately just have to like walk back in front of them, crossing the road.
Right.
Like 5 seconds later, and they're just kind of like. To which point I kind of salute them, but as I'm turning away, you can clearly see that I'm mouthing wankers.
Oh, you're such a knob. You're such a knobhead. God, yeah, saluting. Who cares? Why do you care? Why does this stuff get under your skin?
It's a waste of my fucking time. It was perfectly fucking safe.
Why did you cross them? Why didn't you just keep going?
Because they were getting shitty.
Well, they'd have stopped you if you were doing anything wrong. They just wanted you to do it. They can't make you do it unless they can make you do it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't think that far ahead. I thought, fine, fuck it.
You just did it. Why were you walking in the road? That's like a madman thing. I mean, I
wasn't walking. I was walking on the threshold where the pavement was.
That's like
I'm not in front of traffic. I'm not fucking skipping around.
That's like something somebody would do if they were only wearing a bin bag. That's crazy.
You make it sound like it's a lot worse than it fucking was.
Well, they obviously thought you were doing something kind of endangering yourself. I think these are heroes. I think these hero policemen, they probably put up, with a lot of shit like you all the time, and they thought, well, we could just let him die because he certainly deserves that, fucking twat. But then they thought, well, no, you never know. Maybe one of his relatives, I mean, probably not looking at him, but maybe one of his relatives is decent, and maybe they'll cure cancer or something. And if we upset them, we'll just put that back by 18 months or something like that because of all the misery they would have had by losing you.
Right. Okay. So they're not only Damian
Benedict sucked up by a street sweeper.
Yeah, you really think they had this massive epiphany in the front of that van?
No, I don't think that. I think they probably just saw that you were, I imagine, shabbily dressed and fairly young looking And you clearly don't look like somebody who has any influence, right? You know, like if I was to pick somebody out of a huge crowd, and like if you were to say to me, pick somebody out of that crowd who doesn't know a lawyer, I'd pick you, right? They just saw you and just went, "Oh, cross the road, you twat." Ah, you should have just walked away. I think that'd have been more devastating. should have dropped the mic and left.
I should have stood in the middle of the crossing with my arms folded.
No. Back to my first piece of advice. You should have immediately urinated yourself.
Yeah.
Like really covered yourself in piss.
But that's when they press like a button on their dashboard and this like fucking cow catcher comes out.
Yeah. There's a new mandate in London town. If you've pissed yourself, you go in the cow catcher wagon. Well, there you go. What an epic story. I mean, do you know what? I'm surprised there wasn't another fucking Ferguson after that happened to you.
I thought it's important to set the tone of who we are, and I think that's adequately demonstrated that I'm a petulant little shit.
Yeah, yes, it was. Well, that's very good. You know, I think
this episode of the Boisterous Brothers is brought to you by Cheese
Whiz.
Whiz.
Have enough time. They've dealt with all the drug dealers.
This episode of the Boisterous Brothers is brought to you by
child
Cheese
slavery in
Whiz,
London or
the
anything like that.
superheated
Certainly
plastic
nobody's
treat
buying
you
cocaine,
can trust.
and funding Bolivian terrorism or anything like that. So thank God they've got time to move along dog ends like you.
Hello, the Boisterous Brothers. This week, to the surprise of everyone but himself, Donald Trump was elected King of America. In other news, cats are marrying dogs, and the government is handing out money. Turkey continues to be a bastion of democracy, and things look rosy red for the British economy. Yours, reportedly, Lieutenant-Colonel Heronimus Bilgewater.
He's got the whole world in his bottom. 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 Frasier is unhappy with his servant's attitude and decides to afford her no more privacy. Frasier beelines to her quarters and assumes control of her thyroid medication. She will not answer back. After a candid conversation with Martin, he understands he must take further action. Swiftly, he effects ingress to her bathroom to watch her shower. He comments that her body is that of a young boy's. Her spirit broken, Frasier promises he will cease in further measures. The episode closes with Frasier buying the car for Daphne, to which he will eventually cut the brake lines.
Well, that was not at all clear. What was that about?
That was about the time that Frasier does not know how to respect someone's privacy.
So Frasier breaks into Daphne's room.
Yeah.
For some obscure... Well, what is the reason? He does it because he thinks she's pregnant. Why does he do it?
Frasier never has any good reason to do anything.
It's just some contrivance, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he was putting a book back, and then for whatever reason, he just put stuff in his pockets. Turns out to be like very vital medicine or something like that.
Just turns out to be a kleptomaniac. He just stole stuff, not because it had any value, but because it didn't belong to him. Yeah, right. Okay, so I know you've lodged in somebody's house before. You've had a room in a house that was otherwise quite hostile to you.
Oh, God, well, anywhere that I've lodged has been quite hostile.
Yeah, do you think maybe that's you and not them?
No, there's one case in particular which is pretty fucking nuts. And again, I lived with a crazy old cat lady, essentially.
Right.
For about 4 or 5 months, something like that.
But we have to say that she didn't own any cats, and she wasn't old. Now, how old was she? She was 50, wasn't she? That's not old.
No, she was probably 60, 65, quite old. But I mean, she would drape herself in a lot of like leopard print furs and stuff like that. Always had dye her hair like 3 or 4 different colours.
When you say cat lady, you don't mean she owned a cat. You mean she thought she was a cat. Right?
Well, I think so, yeah.
Right.
I mean, she would definitely call it her spirit animal.
Yeah, right.
But I think
she would shit in the kitchen in a tray.
It was a very weird fucking place. I mean, my room had all this netting over the windows and whatnot.
So the cat couldn't get out.
Well, she didn't have cats as far as I remember, but she did have cats beforehand.
So she didn't have cats. How could she be a cat lady if she didn't have cats? A cat lady is someone who has an infinite supply of cats.
Maybe in between cats, but I asked about what the deal with was with all the windows and the garden in this place.
Big mistake to ask her any sort of question, I think.
Mm-hmm.
These lodgers coming in, imposing their questions on me.
Yeah.
I imagine is what she said.
Oh, I needed explanations, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she used to have cats, but she had this garden. Not only were all the windows netted up, but she had this garden which was encased in chicken wire.
Right.
Like 8-foot roof or something like that. But like every fucking wall was completely done up straight to the fucking house.
Right.
Nothing could get out essentially,
Including you.
Yeah. It was pretty fucking weird.
Yeah.
It definitely gets to you after a little while. But I think this was because she used to have, I don't know, like half a dozen or something like that. And there was a dog down the road, and they would just like harass the dog on the fences and whatnot. And they just made a point of, well, they just pushed their luck basically, and this dog mauled the fucking lot of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, on the same day?
Not on the same day, I don't think. But I mean, half a dozen's a stretch. She had 3, but I mean, I guess one of them probably ran away, but 2 were definitely claimed by this dog that was down the road.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So what did they do? Like fall into its garden or something?
I wouldn't have thought fall in. I think they were just pissing around. They just weren't quick enough.
Right. Okay. That's terrible. Really.
Yeah. Well, the dog was promptly destroyed.
Oh. If they were in its garden.
Yeah. I'm as a dog person, I think that's pretty sad, and I think I've seen a lot of house cats which are very obnoxious, which kind of deserve a bit of a slap now and again. But
to be mauled. You see, you describe yourself as a dog person, but you're not a dog person. You're just not a cat person. You're an anti-cat person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know. It's it's probably just how I was raised.
Yeah. You definitely were quite moulded, I think, to have your beliefs. But do you actually have any reason to dislike them? I mean,
no, not at all. Never had any kind of childhood traumas where I got slashed or anything.
I don't mean that.
I mean, I need to say
are you actually are you yourself kind of repelled by cats?
No, not at all.
Because I like cats, but I like dogs as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's very few animals I don't like. Donkeys, they're playing a long game. Them donkeys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what they're up to, but it's weird. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're definitely not a cat person, and I think you probably more than that. You're definitely not a cat person.
Mm-hmm. Oh God, yeah.
Right. And neither am I. I mean, people who are like, look at my cats, aren't they clever? Get away from me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I used to live in a house with 3 other people, and we had this landlady who was like Alexi Sale and the Young Ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like she'd lived in this house for 20 years before she decided to rent it, or I think probably been forced to rent it, and she would just let herself in at any time.
Yeah.
And we were all like 20, so we were always up to no good.
Yeah.
Like it was never clean. There was always like a fire in the tiny backyard, or porn left out, or somebody drilling through a wall or something like that. And she would always go fucking mental about everything. It was probably, she's probably the most, I wouldn't say neurotic, I wouldn't say psychopathic, but probably the person who's most in need of a bullet to the head I've ever met. I mean, she was completely unstable, and she would come in, and it would basically be, "Hello, boys," and then she would let herself into every room. Like, I don't know if it went so far as to look through people's drawers, but only because she didn't want to. If she wanted to, she'd have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
In England, I think it's you're meant to give people 24-hour notice before you come round. Never did we get that, and I guess kind of as students we didn't really know about it. But
did you ever fight it at all, or would
horrible.
you just kind of lump it?
Yeah, I would fight her all the time. And when we moved out, she didn't want something really weird happened where I think my flatmate, who was probably one of the most incompetent people who's ever existed, but very nice, gave her the wrong date for moving out. So I was out of the country and I was going to come back on the 21st, but we were moving out on the 19th now. Mm-hmm. So I had no way of moving my stuff. So, after ice cold negotiation, she agreed that I could move my stuff, which wasn't really a lot, into her house.
Right, okay. Right?
But she didn't like my stuff because I had a collection of replica guns and stuff like that, and deactivated weapons and knives and things, and she didn't like that. I'm sure she didn't give a shit. She just wanted to cause a problem. So she knew that was coming down at 1:00. on Saturday afternoon to collect my stuff, and she rang me up at 9 and said, "If you're not here in half an hour, I'm going to put the stuff on the street." But it was never calm. It was always mad. And yeah, I went to collect the stuff with my dad, and I remember my dad just kind of watching me and this woman who was about 50, so like 19 or 20-year-old me and this 50-year-old woman like screaming at each other. And I remember my dad just kind of like rubbing his eyes and like, oh, fucking hell.
Yeah.
And that's definitely my worst experience. It wasn't lodging, but I was definitely in someone else's house.
Yeah.
Even though I was paying for it.
Yeah, I was never welcome in any other room other than that bedroom. It's just as well. I mean, just weird across the board. Obviously, we talked the cat lady angle, but she was very much into our horoscopes and stuff like that. And the brief moments that we would kind of like cross
Because
paths
you have
in
a
the kitchen.
mutual passion for your horoscope.
Oh God,
you're a rat, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at this face. It says rat.
Yeah. And what horoscope are you?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, but then a few times that we would cross paths, she'd have to talk about shit like that, and I just have to kind of like, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I always catch her like leaving the house when I come back in. She's like, "I'm off to see my hypnotherapist now."
Wow, because the hypnotherapist, that's like 300 quid an hour.
Something stupid, yeah.
Yeah, and what would they do?
I have no idea what she was trying to correct. I didn't bother. I was just like, just let her waddle out the house and be like, fine, I've got it to myself for a little bit.
Time to have a wank.
On all the couch cushions.
Oh God! And did you leave out of your own choice, or did you say, "Damian, it's time to leave"?
No, I left out my own choice, but I mean, there was definitely a kind of a feeling that I just wasn't welcome anymore.
Yeah, right. And why was that?
I don't know.
But you were quite noisy, weren't you?
No, not at all.
Yeah, you were. I remember going to your house once, and you were quite noisy.
Well, that's because we climbed in like pissed out of our fucking
brains.
brains.
Yeah, but I wasn't noisy at all, and you were really noisy. Like I knew, like I can't be noisy because of Damian's old woman. but you were like, George, look at this mesh, isn't this mad?
Look, I can't even put my hand out the window. I want to be free, George. Help me.
Yeah. Well, I guess the moral of the story is just be homeless.
Yeah.
I'd rather do that. I'd much rather be homeless. Make some good money that way.
I'll ask you how another time.
Yeah. Join Heronimus Swash and Mau Mau as they continue their journey in this week's installment of The Case of the Curse of the Ruby Garnet, Part 2. Swash and Mau Mau pull up outside of Luigi's Lasagna.
All right, Mau Mau, you stay out here and guard the car.
What should I do if we get the ticket?
Why would we get a ticket? God, everything you say is just so negative today.
Well, we are parked in a handicapped zone.
Mau Mau, this whole city will be one big handicap zone if we don't fight crime no matter what. And that means parking where it's most convenient for us, within reason.
Right, boss.
Anyway, there's a tire iron in the back if things get tricky.
Okay.
Also, if any ladies happen to come along and look like they could do with some swashing, take down their numbers.
I think you should go inside, boss, before you're recognized.
Ah, right. Very good, Mau Mau.
Hey, we're fucking closed, chump.
I'm not here to purchase foodstuffs, Luigi.
Hey, you're that big private dick everyone knows.
That's right. Heronimus Swash. At your service.
At my service? Are you some sort of bender?
The only thing I'll be bending, Luigi, is the truth. Out of you.
What?
Like a determined plumber with an all-too-familiar you-bend.
Hey, I'm fucking eating here.
What have you got? Not, I see, a Frankfurter mascarpone.
Course not. Even the garbage men can afford better.
So why would Persephone Telephone come here and buy such an item?
It's not an item, it's a plate of food, you dick. Boss, there's a traffic officer.
Not now, Mau Mau.
He wants the owner's license.
Talk your way out of it, Mau Mau. Is that a cockroach?
No. What? No.
Yes, it is.
It's a cat.
That's not a cat. No cat looks like that.
It's a baby cat. A Sicilian baby cat.
Listen here, Luigi. Don't play games with me.
What games?
What games? What games?
Yeah, what games?
Games like hide the truth.
Get out of here, Swash.
Why did Lady Telephone come here?
I don't know nothing.
But there's this receipt which was in Lady Telephone's handbag.
What's this about?
It's about a woman who is in danger. A woman like your own mother or sister.
How like my own mother or sister?
Very clean?
I don't know no Lady Telefax.
I know you're lying.
No, you don't.
Yes, because Paulie told me.
Paulie told you?
Yeah.
That rat bastard. Boss, I could really use your assistance.
Man up, Mau Mau, and deal with it.
It's just that he's been quite adamant we need to pay a fine for parking in the handicapped spot.
For God's sake, Mau Mau, just deal with it. Do whatever you have to. Just get him to go away.
Hi, yeah, Vic. I'm gonna need you to go around to Paulie's house and set him and his children on fire.
So, Lady Telephone.
Yeah, whatever. She lives upstairs. Don't know nothing about her. There's a spare key to her apartment. Now go.
Excellent. Come along, Mau Mau.
Yeah, I want them all dead. Everyone he's spoken to dead. They're all squealing to the pigs. Boss?
Upstairs, Mau Mau. She lives upstairs.
But the meter maid, boss.
Forget about it, Mau Mau. We've got sleuthing to do. Here we go. Now be careful, Mau Mau. This is a lady's apartment.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Don't take the Lord's name in vain, Fucking hell.
I've never seen so much packed into such a small space.
Ever.
Not since I saw you in that girdle.
Shut up, Mau Mau. That wasn't a girdle, it was an experimental stab vest.
It was a very small experimental stab vest.
Quit your bowling and get searching. There's got to be a clue in here somewhere.
You think that's where she sleeps?
And sits and cooks by the looks of things. I've never seen an apartment so small for a lady so elegant. It just doesn't add up. The ruby's value could buy a lifetime supply of beetroot soup and still have enough change for an oscilloscope machine.
You mean a Nintendo, boss?
Precisely.
Look here, tickets from a pawn shop.
Oh, let's have a pawn shop, yes. I see what you mean. Yes, very interesting. Obviously not a lot of money.
Hands up, villain!
Ah!
This thing's loaded.
Who are you?
I'm Dickie Telephone, you very well know, braggart. Well, there's nothing left. Say your prayers.
Christ, Mau Mau. He's going to blow us away. Blow us away like basic bitches. Now, Mau Mau!
Hey-ya!
Join us next time for another exciting episode of The Case of the Curse of the Ruby Garnet. Well, everyone back in the studio right now is Leroy LaToc. Take it away, Leroy.
I don't know what's going on. Police cats in the backyard. Police got on to you. I was going with y'all. Going over the thing. Going down. Police cat way. Going all the thing. Sausages, melons.
Well, that was very interesting. Wasn't it, Damian?
Yes, it was. I rather like the sausage and melons.
I don't think that's what he said. I think you misheard that. I think he was actually saying something about Martin Luther King, actually. You fucking racist. This one's called Scientism. At first they didn't hear, and then they laughed. But now they are beginning to understand. Just as follower of a false religion, Indira Gandhi, once said, just as false prophet Jesus Christ pioneered his religion on behalf of wealthy bankers and the imperial Roman fascist state. But the echoes of the false word have become the audible truth. The most admired artists of our generation, the real influencers that the fat cats in Washington can't buy, are now, who were once but apostles, preaching the Book of Lafayette. Tom Cruiser and Vincent Vega will be with me when I am laughing at you, toiling in purgatorial mud from space heaven, bitches. And that's from TC in San Francisco. Thank you very much for that, TC. So we were talking about the cat lady that you used to live with who had half a dozen cats. Oh, wait, no, I mean 3. But why do people have half a dozen cats? Why do you want half a dozen of any animal? Why do you want half a dozen children?
Oh fuck, that's even more terrifying.
Yeah, right. But I've always thought, like, if I was going to have a family, I'd either want no children or a good 12.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd want loads.
Like the first lot can start looking after the.
If you have 12 and they do the lottery once a week, it's a statistical fact that one of them will win at some point, and I'm daddy. Daddy gets the daddy share. I don't know, but why do people... I've noticed a lot with people who have pets. Sometimes they're people who don't have children for whatever reason, and yet they've taken it upon themselves to, I guess, fill a gap in their life with a pet, which they just coddle like it's a child.
Yeah.
Like more than a child. Why do they do that?
Well, I suppose in the case of my old landlady, it's because there's just no way of actually making a family. Right. She was like a hermit.
Right, so I suppose I answered my own question with my...
Yeah, it was just that...
it's just filling a gap, isn't it?
Yeah,
okay,
it's a nice child kind of proxy.
I suppose what I should say then is, I can understand that, as unhealthy as that might be, but why have 6 of a pet? If you love cats, why not just have like 1 or 2? Why do you want...
I suppose when you resign yourself to living alone, well, at least without other humans, you're going to get pretty fucking obsessive.
Well, I think you're probably right. You know, I used to know someone who, when he was a kid, he was very isolated where he lived, and I think he went to a very small school or something like that, like a tiny school, you know, because it was very rural, and he had a pen pal that he met in a national park that he visited with his mum and his dad, and this pen pal was a guy who lived in a van with 12 cats. Oh, yeah. How would you get those 12 cats to stay in the van?
I don't know. I've got to be honest, I've never kind of encountered like people like that. I know of them. Right. I know they exist.
Yeah, they do. I've met
maybe. Yeah, I mean, I know people that have like a maximum, like 3 cats or something like that, but not like.
But you know, growing up, I didn't have dogs, and like I say, I like dogs, but I kind of think more than 2 dogs, unless you've got a big house, is too much. Nuts, yeah. I mean, even then, I remember I had a mate who had 2 big dogs in a medium-sized house, and they were just way too big for the house.
Yeah, I know a lot of people would say, well, they get 1 dog, and then when they're working all the time or whatever, they get the second dog under the rationalization that, you know, to keep the other one company.
Right. Yeah.
And I think with like
just
crazy
buy a Game Boy. That's what the TV's for, isn't it?
You just put pictures, a slideshow of other animals on.
Just take it to work with you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Some people would try.
Yeah,
you know,
they would.
That's a very dangerous fucking...
Totally be up for that. You can bring your baby into work when you've had it and it's all right.
Yeah.
You know, people do that, don't they?
Ugh. Yeah, but that's like just a one-off day, right?
I think if
it's just underneath the fucking computer.
Yeah, right.
They put it next to the fan so it doesn't know.
I've been to places where that's happened, and whenever someone brings their baby in, it's kind of like, so you brought your baby in this morning so people could see your baby, and now you're going to take it home.
Yeah.
You may as well have not fucking come in today. Because it's not staying here, right? Yeah. You know. I don't know.
Do they come in on like their day off, or is it just like, yes, it's one of my work days?
Like they take a holiday. They take a personal day to come in and bring their baby. Is that what you're saying? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think that's those people actually like make friendships and relationships at work.
At work, I wouldn't know about that.
Yeah.
If you bring your baby into work, I think what people should say is, "Oh, a lovely baby. Very brave of you bringing it in as well. You know, knowing my record of being so unlucky with babies. I mean, just babies I've had contact with. In fact, just babies. There's been a study done. In fact, just babies I've passed in the street. Don't look good for them."
Never break eye contact.
Right. Babies are very sensitive with me because if I look them in the eye, there's like a 1 in a million chance that their heads will explode. It's the same with dogs.
Or they just mysteriously seem to crawl under buses somehow. Crawl.
I remember I had this Polish tutor at university who was a Polish DOP, and he was very good. He was, you know, kind of doing films in the 70s in Poland, which were genuine pieces of art. And he was I wouldn't say necessarily he was a hard bastard, but you know, like you have teachers who say, you can't ask a foolish question. Don't be afraid to ask me any question. that wasn't him. That
I
wasn't,
have known people like that.
yeah, that wasn't Witold. He would not tolerate bullshit. If you asked him a question
Yeah.
that he'd already explained the answer to, or already told you what to do, he would not be happy. But one day he brought in his greyhound
Oh, really?
into university for no reason at all. He brought his greyhound in. And everyone was like, "Oh wow, a greyhound, fantastic!"
I had a couple of lecturers at college that did that once, under the guise of one of them was sick and needs to kind of monitor it, kind of.
Oh right, so brought it into university.
Well,
Or
it was
brought it to
college, yeah. Which was great because it was a day that you just wouldn't do any work. It was
You just touch the dog,
yeah, and you just kind of molest it. Like, oh my god, it's amazing! It's
a dog.
I've never seen one in
Yeah.
the last 2 hours.
Yeah. But it's here, and I can prod it and stuff. How weird must it be for the dog? You know, just surrounded by all these upright things that want to touch you.
Oof.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't get why people want so many of them. Like,
Well,
sure,
like as I say, so if you've got they have one and they get another one for company.
Right.
But I reckon when it comes to the crazier types,
Yeah.
they imbue them with personalities.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I think
they
they
do.
could essentially like get more to kind of build a family and stuff like that. I've heard of like cases
Yeah.
where people have tried to marry their cats and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
There is someone I know who has lots of dogs. I think maybe 4 or 5, and they're all like dogs that she's adopted.
Yeah.
You know, rescue dogs, and they're all completely different breeds, and everything. And all her Facebook profile is, she's very active on Facebook. All her Facebook profile is the dogs, and occasionally she'll be in the background or something when her husband's taking the photo. And the caption always is like the family at wherever they are.
Right, okay.
Yeah, the family looking at the sunset, and it's like God.
Yeah.
I think animals have personalities, but they're still animals.
Yeah, dogs in particular. I mean, I get this. I get this when I visit my dad now because he's becoming crustier and crustier, and he's got this Staffy at the moment. He's had it for a couple of years, and he absolutely adores it now that all his kids have fucked off. But
Wraps it in a bonnet and takes it out in the pram.
kind of. I mean, he does. He speaks to it. He legitimately speaks to it and will assume its voice. Like I will call.
So
him.
he'll speak to it and then he'll speak back
He'll
to
be like,
himself.
yeah, basically, and kind of.
Hello, Rover. How are you? Oh, I'm very fine. Thank you very much.
It's not, it's basically a different voice, but he does that. I mean, he does it when I'm on the phone to him, and I'm like, yeah, so this is happening. And he's like, oh, here comes Bugalux. Oh, what I'm up to? What about? No, this is absolute.
That's
Dad,
fucking
I'm on
mad.
the fucking, and I can be on the phone with him for like half an hour, right? But would be the average phone
That's
call.
the voice he does.
Something like that. It kind of,
So his dog is an old man.
but it's more of a, it's just like a toy voice kind of thing.
Right.
But
And he says like to you, like, do you want to speak to the dog?
he doesn't do that,
Right.
but he will he just goes into it. Like a half an hour phone call, you can guarantee like 10 minutes of that
Yeah.
will be spent listening to him talking to the dog.
But what does he say then?
Absolute bullshit. I mean, it's.
I mean, do they talk about stuff that's happening in the news?
No,
or-
it's just like, oh, I love you so much, Dad.
Oh man.
And I'm just like, Dad, I've made an effort to kind of call you here, so can you?
And wait, when the dog speaks to him, it refers to him as dad.
Yep. Yeah.
That's like dementia.
Yeah, no, I mean it's got to the point when I do visit him, he treats it more of a son than I am, and I'm not particularly
I can
jealous.
totally believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I feel like I've dodged a bit of a bullet. It's fine, but I mean, it's a little bit kind of disconcerting to watch.
That is mad. I mean, he gets out of the house, doesn't he? He does go outside.
Only to walk the dog,
Yeah,
but he does it at like 4 a.m.
so he doesn't see anyone.
No, not at all.
Oh my god, that is mental. That is mental. I've never heard of anyone like. I've heard of people talking to their animals, but never assuming their voice and talking back.
They used to do it a lot when we had our Dalmatian about a decade ago, but it was very.
It was occasional. It'd be like,
Yeah,
it was a
yeah.
joke almost, right? It would be
Yeah.
like, oh, hello, Dana, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. thank you."
know.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah.
Not a conversation.
Yeah.
See, now you've said it, I imagine them talking about all sorts of things like.
Science, politics, philosophy.
But isn't the intrinsic value of Descartes
In the living room, there's like a little coffee table. And on that coffee table is a chessboard. And one of these days, I do expect, because every now and again, I see it's been like moved around, but I do expect like, oh, so you've been playing? It's just like, yeah, the fucking dog's thrashing me at the moment.
Yes,
Like gets into
I expect
into
that
his
as well.
head.
That is starts telling him what to do. Like maybe your dad will end up like sleeping downstairs, and the dog will take the master bedroom. So yeah,
Oh God.
That is properly out there.
Yeah, it is.
But you're not worried, are you?
No.
But that's through apathy more
Yeah,
than
more than
concern,
anything else.
Well, there you
Yeah, and
go.
that's
Yeah.
that kind of depressing note.
Thank you very much for listening. If you're listening to this anywhere else other than YouTube, you can go to YouTube and you can watch us because we do film these podcasts. There's also a lot of other stuff on YouTube. And if you want to download this podcast or any other podcasts we've done, you can go to SoundCloud where you can download it for free. Very easily as well.
Yes.
Yes. It's excellent.
Yes.
Most excellent.
Most excellent.
Comes
Quite.
highly recommended from SoundCloud.
Yes, we pay good money for that. Pump it!
Thank you very much. Bye!
Goodbye.